goes live.
Okay.
So we'll want to factor that in as well.
Cool. Nice.
Though I live in the flesh, I'm a war in the guns. We submit to a God who is given the most. He's equipped me to speak the truth every day. He's equipped us to stand up and not be ashamed. Surrender or suffer. His soul is after. Meditate and isolate. I'm through with these flesh games. You know, once I was dead is alive. I swear I'm not going back. Wipe all the tears from my eyes. Never leave my side. It's not a man who's afraid, but the heart that's deceived. From the false accusations to lies he believes. Too wavered and tossed like the wave of the sea. A paradise ship that's over the wind. Correcting your setting. The discipline that's from within. Corroding, exploding. I'm a hand grenade, now pull the pin. You know, once what was dead is alive. I swear I'm not going back and cry. Wipe all the tears from my eyes. Never leave my side. Cannibalistic, the life you breathe. Your code on the social feed. How sadistic you have to be to achieve the life that you can be free. You're cannibalistic, the life you breathe. Your code on the social feed. How sadistic you have to be to consume the life that you can to burn. You smile at the thought of me failing. You won't get your chance, there's no going back. You smile at the thought of me failing. Life another and every breath. You feel bleed on, consuming like the cancer that you are. You're selfless or megalomaniac, and this time it's gone too far. Sticking by the way that you have treated the weak, and now the pride of the trait. The light is here to expose the fake, while the sheep attack the king.
We're here with Bred for War's Daniel Streety, and welcome to you for joining us. And wanted to start by asking you, and Luke, if you want to get in on this as well. There was a show y'all played at Yahweh when Luke was booking and I was running sound, where Luke and I left for just a moment to go, I think, get food or something. The show had ended, and we left for like maybe 5 minutes. When we came back, you all were jamming, and Mikey was on harmonica. Wanted to get your input on how that all came about and what led to that little jam session there.
Oh man, that was a good time. That was Mikey said he played harmonica, and we just kind of, we didn't really laugh it off, but we just said, okay, well, if you want to jump up here and jam with us, let's go ahead. And he kind of opened up his pocket, and he had 5 or 6 harmonicas in different keys, and I took the guy really serious after that. He jumps up on stage and he just starts jamming. And our bass player comes from a jazz background, and our guitar player from blues background. So Mikey fit right in, and he was so good that I left the stage. I mean, I was just like, well, I basically just got replaced for the evening.
Oh, nice.
And it was awesome. Yeah. We had a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
I remember coming. Yeah, we came back and we heard music again, and I looked at Cameron and I'm like, didn't we end? What? Like, I was confused and he was confused, and we're walking in the building like very apprehensive, like, what's going on? And then we realized what's going on, and I'm like, okay, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Mikey was laying it down. That guy's really good at harmonica. Man.
Oh yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, I've always wanted to ask that, like, what, it's like, because we just came in and saw what was going on. We didn't see how it got started, so.
Yeah, that had to have been 4 or 5 years ago. That was a good time.
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to say it was around 16 maybe.
Yeah.
17 somewhere around there.
About 5 or 6 years, because as I found out a few weeks ago, I've been booking longer than I thought I have. So.
Yes. So I also wanted to get your input, like how you all got started. I know, you've been playing for a while now. Like how you guys got together, what led you to start Bred for War, and kind of your background there.
Really, it was a culmination of 2 different bands. Me and Jay and myself were in a band called Unchained, and the brothers were in a band called Soldiers of the Cross. And the doors were closing at the same exact time on both bands. Members were leaving. Some of our members were being called into ministry. And some of the guys in Soldiers of the Cross were going into different contemporary worship bands. So it left a guitar player and a drummer seeking a bass player and a vocalist. And it just fit. We knew each other from both bands. We had jammed together when we were separate bands. And we just kind of talked to one another and said, hey, would you guys be interested in maybe filling in this one show in Kansas City? It was actually in Lathrop, Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just going to be a one-off. And we played that one show, spoke to a bunch of kids at some high schools and stuff like that, played the show, and it was phenomenal. There was something about the show and the performance and us all being up on stage together that just fit. And I kind of looked at Jay and I was like, I think we're supposed to be in a band. So we asked them, and they felt the same way. We all prayed about it, and next thing I know, Bred for War was born that night. And
oh, nice.
It's been a marriage ever since.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's very good music. I don't want to say I'm like anti heavy music. I'm not, but it's not my most favorite genre. I guess I would put it that way. But
Sure.
But it's like I can listen to y'all anytime. I've listened to several of your tracks, and it's like I don't even notice that it's more of the heavy side. So I'm saying that as a compliment. But
I appreciate it.
oh yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I've pretty much said how I feel about the band, Daniel and the band. I don't know how many times. Same with Deity. I tend to fangirl too much, and I'm trying not to do that this time. Learn as I go. It's clear, I would think, how I feel about the music, because I tried to book you guys every time I could, and back then I was still learning, and it was actually Daniel who one day I asked him to play, and he straight up said no. And he wasn't rude about it, but it's Daniel's tone. He's just like, no. And he didn't say anything after that. And of course, I sat there for a few seconds like, what'd I do? Did I break something? Am I bad? And he's like, no. He's like, there's a thing called oversaturating the market. And he said it in a way where most people probably would have thought he was just being mean. But I took a minute and I hung up, and I'm like, he's right. If I keep playing him over and over, he's got a point. And he actually... even he doesn't know this, but a lot of the things he's told me has actually, it warped the 5 to 6 years I was booking, because you were the only one who literally was just like, no, here's why. You weren't trying to appease me to get shows. You were like, no, this is how it needs to work because it works better this way. And I'm like, at first I was offended, like, because I didn't know. And then I thought about it. I'm like, he's not being a jerk. He's just like, this is why we do what we do, and this is why we're not going to do this. And I'm like, from that moment on, I respected Daniel, not just as a musician, but the dude has always, you've always just been flat out with me and anyone else I know. And you're different than anyone else I talk to because you don't sugarcoat things. You don't launch into 10 minute spiels. You say what you mean, and that's that. And it took me years to realize that's how you are, because we've had talks about how I always think you're mad at me. And I realized you're not. You're just cutting away all the extra crap and all that and just putting it out there. And the one thing I've never told you is I do want to thank you for that, because you actually, if it hadn't been for you and your straightforward advice, I probably wouldn't have booked as long as I did. Like, because I was obviously running myself straight into the ground because I was trying to do everything. And your advice, that simple, straight up, kind of grumpy sounding no, literally woke me up and was like, okay, she's right. I need to do this differently. And so musically, let's be real, your music moves people. Everyone knows that. You cannot go to a Bred for War show and then turn around and tell anyone that, oh, that music doesn't move me, because I'd call you a liar. Mm-hmm. It's your music is 100% end of story, backed by God. You guys are backed by God. Everyone knows it. Everyone hears it. Everyone sees it. So I don't want to go off on a tangent about that, because your music is the proof of what you guys speak. But you guys have been amazing people to me. And I literally just wanted you to know that, because I've never told you that story about how that one no literally helped me grow in booking.
Well,
sorry to rant. You can have your
no. That's fine. My opinion on that, man. There's so much to it. First of all, I'm the nicest guy in the world. I do come across really harsh sometimes, and that's because I'm not fake. I'm real, and I've always been this way. Even back when I was gangbanging and doing all that stupid stuff back in California. I'm an in-your-face kind of guy. I'm real about Christ and all that sort of thing. The music, as far as it being effective, I appreciate it. All it is I'm just throwing my heart out there when I write the lyrics, when I sing, when I yell, when I scream. I really want people to move, because I don't want anybody to ever look on stage and ever see Dan Streety or Justin Roark or any of the guys. I don't even want them to see the band Bred for War. I want them to see Jesus. And I want people, I want that to be impactful. I don't ever want to be known as a performer, because the day that I'm ever looked at as a performer, I quit. This is ministry, and this is all it is. Because trust me, there's no money in it. At this stage in the game, it's nothing but sacrifice. It's nothing but our wives being on board, our kids sacrificing times, us being away, the breakdowns, all the things, all the stuff that goes on when we're not on stage. That stuff's not fun. It's not fun at all. But the point is not to have fun. The point is not to put on a performance. The point is to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ to people, number one. And as far as the oversaturation thing goes, I've seen bands burn themselves out in a market before, lots of times, where they will go, like for Springfield, for instance, they'll play multiple shows 2-3 times, sometimes 4 times a month in that market. The first show, they'll bring a draw. They'll draw a bunch of people. The second, third, and fourth show, it's dead. And when you do that, you're wasting everybody's time, the band, the promoter, the sound engineer, the venue, everybody's time. And the band winds up playing to nobody. And that's ineffective. So when I always say oversaturate, I'm very careful to take shows too many times in one market. I mean, it's okay to play 2 or 3 times in Kansas City. It's not okay to play 12, because then everybody, it gives the concert goer the impression that, hey, I can miss them this time, they'll be back in a month type thing, and then they just never show up. So I'd rather play less shows with more people, and so that's what I meant by that. If I was rude, sorry, not really, but sorry.
No,
But to tell you the
yeah.
truth, somebody was strong enough and serious enough as I am to you about this with the gospel of Christ, and it hit me so hard that day that I accepted the Lord, and it changed my life. So it took somebody not being passive but being super aggressive with the gospel, and I'm like, that's right in my wheelhouse. I'm an aggressive person. I love that. I try not to. I'm not trying not to be rude. I try not to be, in your face about it. But there's zero compromise in me.
Yeah.
So sorry if I came across a little harsh, Luke. I
No,
love you, buddy. I've known you forever.
It like I said, at first it caught me off guard, because all these bands that I was playing would always say yes, and it became a problem because I started to rely on the bands, and I was new. Like, I don't know if everyone knows, basically what happened is there was booking at Yahweh, then there wasn't booking at Yahweh. I believe Yahweh still had a purpose with bands. I believe that young teens, young adults, and people there was a market, for lack of a better word. There was a need. There was a need to reach the people that other places and churches and organizations wouldn't, because the names metal or rap or tattoos or different clothing was attached. And I had no idea how to book. And I just said, but I believe God was like, this is what you're doing. This is what I have for you. You don't know how, but I'll get you through it. So I just jumped into it. And I was getting to a point where everyone was saying, yes, we'll play. Yes, we'll play. And then I come across you, and you had played a few shows, and you go, no. And now I'm very thankful for it, because now I understood it. It took me a couple of days to process. I won't lie. My first thought was, why is this jerk saying no? And then literally in my heart's like, he's not a jerk. Maybe there's a reason for it. And so I said, all right. So I took a couple of days, and it dawned on me. It's like, I get what he's trying to say. This makes sense. He wasn't being rude, but he's also not going to kiss my butt to get shows. And that one thing literally helped me grow in so many ways with booking and just interacting with bands in period. So I know now, and I knew a couple of days after, and I didn't think you were a jerk when you said it. It just, I was so used to everyone saying yes. You were literally the first no. I like legitimately the first no I ever got. And that first no, no matter who you are, it always hurts. It always hurts, because you don't know why. You're like, well, but I grew up and I realized, I'm like, okay, he's got a point. And I did. And because of that, I stopped booking Theody and Silverside and other bands as much, trying to put them on the bigger shows, because I sat down and I started looking at the shows you were doing, and I realized you were right. All the shows that the bands have played multiple times in a 6, 7, 8 month period, the crowds were gone. But the bands that weren't playing as much had a crowd. And so I realized he's smart. He's not a jerk. He just ain't going to sugarcoat it. He ain't going to play games. And that is what I'm thankful for.
Yeah. And one thing about, like, with us, with Bred for War, and is we don't charge. We've never asked for money. So it's not about, hey, you can't meet the need of what we need financially or anything like that, because we don't charge for shows. God's always provided. And that goes for nationwide shows, even overseas shows. If we take something overseas, we're not getting paid for it. We're not asking for anything. If they pay us, awesome, but we never ask for anything, and we've never gone without. And that's something that most bands, I'd say 99% of bands don't do. And that's on Christian and secular side, is everybody needs money. And I just wonder, for me personally, I just wonder where your faith is when you do that. But that's a whole different story. But there are bands who play for free, so it was never anything like that. You just oversaturated the market. You want to draw the people in. And the one thing about Yahweh Underground is it's called Yahweh Underground. 2 words, Yahweh meaning God, and underground. It was for the underground people who are not going to the churches, for the underground people that are going to these shows these rap shows, these metal shows, metalcore shows, all these things. You were booking bands to draw those type of people in. It was a ministry on your end, and it was incredible because I was watching people. I made many friends, with Superhero, with all those guys.
Yeah.
You know, I made friends with all those guys. Terrell, because of Yahweh Underground. So it was not only connections for you, it was connections for us, it was connections for everybody, and it was bringing everybody together as a body outside of the walls of a church. And I thought that was pretty special.
It was definitely an important part of my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
I've slept on that floor before. I know.
Oh yeah. Oh.
We all have.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you only knew how many times me and Cameron had to sleep on the couches or the floors there because we do a Yahweh show and then we run to another city with one of the bands or you guys or Streety to go help them with their shows, and then we'd end up going to Breaking Chains or Chain, and there were several weekends where me and Cameron were in 3-4 different cities in 3 days. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've all fallen. All four of us have fallen off the stage at a show somewhere, and Yahweh Underground was the one that Justin felt. That was his spot where he fell off the stage. Thank God the stage was only that tall.
Right.
But yeah, that was the one he fell off of.
Was I there for that? I don't remember that.
It was quick. It was boop, boop.
Yeah.
That was it.
I remember it. Yeah, it was. I think you were there because if you were there, I was there.
He's a big guy. You don't want falling very far.
Yeah.
I remember there was a show where I wouldn't say the building was packed, but there was a lot of people up front, and I was headbanging, and I didn't realize how close I was. And Justin turned his guitar head, and my head didn't get out of the way quick enough. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that too.
He looked like he felt so bad. I'm like, dude, I put myself here. We're all good.
Right.
I'm like, you didn't kill me, so we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not metal unless somebody's getting hurt.
Right.
That is actually a scientific fact. I believe that. Or drums being broke, or guitars cabinets blowing up.
Twisted knees, broken nose, busted teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. The roof almost being set at fire. All of that happened at Yahweh at different shows.
Yes.
Not just you guys, but
Right.
my next question is, you alluded to it about the sacrifice and all that, but I know, and you brought it up. There's several bands that people have got onto me about booking, like you guys at Streety and Silverside, and they always ask, why do you keep booking them? Why do I keep booking them? One of them is you all never expected anything, like you were saying. Like Silverside at the time, they were getting decent sized fees. And after the first time, I cooked for them because I knew me and Mikey knew we weren't going to have the money, but they agreed to play. We busted our butts. I cooked for them. I cooked for almost every one of you guys at the shows if I could, or we made sure we fed you all, sheltered you all. I played you guys, and it's like you said, when the chips were down and the show was over, never once did you or your boat band or Streety or Silverside come up to me and go, hey, where's our money? All you guys ever said was thank you. And that was another teaching moment for me, because all these bands were like, are we getting paid? Do we get any money? All these bands, but you guys never once that maybe there was once, but I don't remember it ever, especially with you guys. Never once did you all come up and go, hey, we're here to get paid. The show's over. You guys only ever said thank you. How, with everything going on the last year and a half or all that, and even before that, how hard or easy, depending on your point of view, is it to keep that momentum of just not asking for money? How does that affect you guys, or does it?
Let's be real. I'm gonna be straight up, and if I offend somebody like other bands, so be it. That's the difference between a performer and ministry. We're 100% ministry minded. So God continues to funnel. When you're called to do something, God will be your provider. And we all know that it's in the Bible, and we all read our Bibles. We don't just actually hold them up, and we actually read them and we study them, and we minister to one another. We believe in what we say. We believe in that word, and that word says that God will provide all your needs. And to tell you the truth, we've gone from glory to glory to glory to glory. Ever since we started taking shows, we've always made sure that we took 10% of everything that we've ever made, ever sold, anything, and we pay it forward, almost like a tithe. But what we do is we pay it into another ministry, or we find a veteran in need and we give that away. Well, God honors that gift. That's a sacrifice in itself, but God honors that. And since then, and without getting paid guarantees or anything, you're going up to Kansas City, which costs hundreds of dollars for me to drive up there and back, with fuel and food and everything, for 4 guys coming, 2 from Rolla, 1 from Joplin in my area, and then Jay from Springfield, all of us to go up there to play a free show. Well, that costs a lot of money. And that also takes a lot of faith. And when you use that kind of faith, and when you believe in that type of faith, God will honor that. And we've played shows where we've driven hundreds of miles to play for 3 people and leave. And we've never, ever once gone without. Never once. In fact, we now own a bus. We own a trailer. We own all of our equipment, all of our studio stuff, everything we own. Nothing, zero we paid for. Zero. The only thing that we've ever paid for was the initial T-shirts that we bought, the 50 initial T-shirts when we first started as a band. And I sold every one of those T-shirts. People believed in us. We took that money and we bought more T-shirts, and they sold and more T-shirts. And all of a sudden this nest egg started growing. And then all of a sudden we had a trailer, and then we had a bus given to us. And then we had 3 albums recorded for all these things. So financially, we've never had a problem. We've always been in the black, never been in debt, never once. And it's run like a business. Of course you have to run it kind of responsibly, but we're not frugal with anything, and we take what God has given us and we honor God with that. So we always still take 10% right off the top of everything every single year, and we pay it forward to another ministry. Chains Unchained. That's something I put together with Wayne for an entire year. It is not easy to do. Wayne and I, we get zero out of it, no money whatsoever. Bred for War does not get paid. All the other bands get paid. We don't. And, that's just something we choose to do, but God honors that. So as far as money goes, money's not an issue. Money's never been a problem. We all have normal jobs. We don't do this for a living. I'm a truck driver. Another guy's a grease plant guy, and one's a data guy, and another guy works at a college, and that's what we do for our normal lives. Our wives all back us, our kids all back us, and then God provides, so that's the long answer to your short question.
Yeah. And I it almost sounds, what you were saying, and obviously not in genre and content, but it almost sounds like Kiss. Like they from the very beginning said, we're not a band, we're just marketing ourselves. In this case, you're marketing, Jesus or the gospel, but and so kind of wanted to touch on that. I know you, when you do your shows, it's not just 4 guys up on a stage with guitars. I mean, you have like props and stuff like that as well. Kind of want to elaborate on that a little further, like how you incorporate that into your show and the meaning behind it.
Like the props and stuff are just, most of the time it's fun and games. I come across as the serious one all the time. So the more I can goof around and joke around on stage, the more like I'm approachable. Because I've noticed like a lot of people think, like Luke was saying, I can be maybe stern or standoffish, and that's just not who I am. I'm a jokester. And then Jay, he just constantly, that all he does is joke. I've never heard a bad thing come out of that guy's mouth. He's just constantly a ball of fun. But the props, like, we We have the flamethrowers. We've never used them. We've had those. Somebody gave those to us. The mic stands are something we made. Just kind of thought it was cool, with all the hands and stuff, and the little mic drop hand holding the mic, and then you got the little head on the stick. We have no idea what
the
that
head.
means. We have no idea what it means. We still don't. One day I had that head. I found it behind a dumpster at work. I took a broom handle and I stuck it inside the bottom. It fit, and I named it Max ever since that day. That stupid thing has gone everywhere with us. So
Yeah.
that's Max, and Max has been, he's been through hell and back.
Yeah, I remember I remember the first show I saw you guys at Yahweh. I don't know if it was one I booked or one Mikey booked, but I remember Max was sitting back there at the merch booth, just chilling, and I don't remember what the sign was. There was a sign right in front of him. I don't remember what it was. And then very next time I saw you guys, the head was on stage and being thrown around by the crowd, and I'm going, did I miss something? Like,
Yeah. Max has really seen things that no man should. He got stolen from me at a show one time and wound up in the girls' bathroom, I think in one of the toilets. So, like, stuff like that. I got him back, obviously, but like, I'm just like, where's Max? And you'll look up and he'll just be kind of floating through the audience, just his head, he's just part of the band now. And, and then like the giant cowbell, the whole joke from the Saturday Night Live is, hey, we need more cowbell. So Jay had this giant one made. And I mean, what's funnier than a giant cowbell hitting it with a baseball bat? So we're just like, just these little things like this, and people remember that stuff. So it's like, hey, I can't remember the name of that band. I can't remember the four guys, but I remember the head on the stick, so it's kind of like a little niche thing.
Yeah, it just adds to the remembrance of, oh, those guys,
Yeah. The flag and the smoke and all this stuff.
And the appearance, like something that always stuck with me, the reason I was always drawn to you guys' the live performances is, let's be real, when you four get out of a truck or a vehicle and no one's ever met you before, you all are four very muscly, athletic, kind of buff dudes. So it's like, I remember the first time I ever met you guys, Mikey was like, hey, Bred from Wars here. And I go out and I look up the sidewalk and I see you all, and I look to the left and I'm like, what band? And because it never dawned on me. And Mikey pointed to you guys, he goes, that's them. He goes, I literally said, I'm like, the freaking gym dudes? He's like, yeah. And he's like, don't judge a book by a cover. He goes, they're really nice. I'm like, I'm sure they are. I'm just like, I didn't expect to see four super athletes come out of the vehicle.
We're bred for war.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see you guys get on stage, and it's just like I said, the size and the muscles. To people who don't know, they kind of go, what? And then to see the antics, like you're saying, on stage, it's so counter to what you guys look like when you're just walking around talking. It draws me in, like, to see, like, the guitarist, he's so big and he plays this guitar. And I made the joke, I'm like, dude, it looks like you're playing a ukulele when you're up there.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
And everyone remembers that. And when you guys start playing around with Max and the cowbell, everyone's like, these guys are so scary looking, but they're so funny. And I'm like, that's probably why they work.
Well, yeah, and like a lot of bands, they fit in like this mold. Like, we all wore like bright yellow one day, and somebody had commented, and they're like, "That's not very metal." And I'm like, "Well, we're good, because when you go to a festival, every single band looks the same, dresses the same, sound like there's nothing that sets them apart." So with us, we're always like, "Well, what's going to set us apart? If our music's hard, we're the metal guys. There's a bunch of other metal bands here. What's going to set us apart? Okay, well, the head on the stick, or we're all wearing high vis yellow, or lately we just started getting into these jumpsuits, these orange jumpsuits.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
So it's like we're a completely orange jumpsuit. Well, you're going to remember that. So the point is to stick out and to be noticed, and not wear the same skinny jeans with the cuts in the knees, the same stupid long oversized black shirt, the same haircut, all that stuff. You look the
Yeah.
same as everybody else.
A chain
So
coming out of your pocket. Yeah.
yeah, if you're gonna sound like everybody else, you might as well
Yeah.
not look like them too.
Right.
So I tried to, and we're older. I mean, we grew up on like, I grew up on Pantera and Slayer and
Yeah.
all those bands, Static X and stuff like that. So, I'm wearing, the Bred for War jersey. Nobody does this. Nobody does that anymore. I'm like, well, let's make some Bred for War jerseys. Let's do this and do that. Let's try to stick out and not look like everybody else. But yeah, that's kind of the point. The tattoos, I can't do anything about. I've had them for 20 years.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was last year's uh, Chains Unchained. You came out in like almost like riot tacky gear, and I heard people
Yeah.
go, "Why are they wearing it?" And I literally, the things out of the first thing came out of my mouth is, "That's just them. You got to know them."
Yeah, now everybody's doing it. Now Miggy
Yeah.
from Lent's wearing it, and I think Stevie B was wearing one. I'm like, oh, and then what's his face? Patrick Rivers from 3 Days Under. All of them got flak vest, bulletproof vests now, and I'm like, dude, I can't wear it now. You guys are
Right.
copying my style, dude.
Right.
So I gotta let it rest for a little while. We'll probably put that back on. The next thing I know, they'll all be wearing big orange jumpsuits, prison jumpsuits. There's nobody has those, but we do.
There was only one band I ever saw wear them, and they were a local KC band, but they were so off the wall that it made sense with them. But they're the only
Right
ones I've
on.
ever seen that they wore that, and they wore Bigfoot masks.
That's cool. I wore a dinosaur outfit one time with Deity. That was kind of funny. So I was dressed up like a dinosaur, had a dinosaur tail coming out the back. Yeah. So
I missed that. Darn it.
yeah, that was with Egypt Speaks and Deity. That was a good show.
That was.
Oh wait,
Yeah, so-
I was. Yeah.
But the orange, like the orange jumpsuits, those actually have a meaning behind them. So it's like it starts a conversation. Like this new album is very, very serious. So I had the orange jumpsuits made and what it says down the sleeves and on the back, and our prison numbers and stuff like that all have a meaning. So this will be,
Yeah.
I think we've worn them one time at KCF. Our second time will be at Chains and Chain. We're going to wear them again.
And you mentioned the album, but what's the name of it, and where can you find it? And,
The new album is Awaken the Harbinger. Awaken the Harbinger is our third album. It'll be out. It'll go live the 23rd of this month. It's done. It's pressed. It's ready to go. We're already taking pre-orders and stuff, but it'll go live the 23rd. We're going to debut it at Chains Unchained. But yeah, it's by far the heaviest we've ever played. It's by far the heaviest album. And yeah, it's very, very serious. There's some very serious songs on there. Things that need to be talked about that nobody wants to talk about. I wrote some songs about that, and yeah, it's just, not all of it is pretty and not all of it has a happy ending, but it's a very serious album with a serious cover.
It leads me into a question because a lot of the bands that I follow, whether they be like you guys and Duty and the bands that I've booked, or oh my God, that's loud. Sorry. Or bands that I follow nationally, they're all dropping albums now that the country's opening up and things are, I guess, quote unquote, getting back to normal. But I've noticed a lot of the albums, and we had this conversation with Deity, their last couple songs have had, and I think it's great, but a much darker or much more serious connotation to them. And I'm noticing this is becoming a trend, and I'm wondering, is this basically the way bands are? And I say bands because, like I said, a lot of them are doing this. Is this a way to cope with the past year and a half of crap that's been going on? Or is there a more personal thing driving this new, heavier sound for you? Or
It's all of it. we write all the time, and I noted I wanted going into this album. We started writing this 2 years ago, so this is pre-pandemic, pre any of that stuff. We started writing it, and I wanted the heaviest third album to be just the one that just hits you in the face. I want, you know, to write an entire album that's just like can be played in a mosh pit. The connotation that you speak of, yeah, I think that most bands, they're just, yeah, it's personal. It's what they've gone through in the last year. A lot of bands have went belly up. A lot of ministries have went belly up. A lot of businesses and people and stuff like that have went belly up. There's been a lot of hurt all over the place. The things that I talk about in this album has nothing to do with the pandemic, nothing at all.
Okay.
I talk about the skepticism that's in churches, the skepticism that's in people when they are like caught in between whether they want to follow Christ or whether they want to follow the world, because you can't do both. The song Cannibal is about, you know, that was the last album, but that was the church basically eating itself. Well, I kind of piggyback off of that, you know. I wrote a song called The Fainting to Gasp of a Dying Medium, and it's about the election. It's about watching people literally put Christ on the shelf and fight one another over a man. So I call them all out on that. I wrote a song called Apathy, which is about human trafficking and with children. Veteran suicide, a song called Caveat. It does not end well. And, you know, these are real things that people are dealing with, you know. Flawed is about every single person who points fingers at one another, and so they can look a lot better. And so they point out, you know, they point out the guilt in somebody else, you know, why three fingers are pointing right back at them. And that's what Flawed's all about. So all these songs, I mean, they're just calling people out. And, you know, I'm not by no means a perfect person. You know, we all struggle every day, of course, but that's a song that really hits home to me, because I'm pointing at everybody. You're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, and so am I. You know, thank God for the blood of Christ that washes all the sin away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, guilty, 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 and so is this guy. So this album, yeah. Luke 21, Matthew 24, Mark 13, it all talks about the end times and the things, the birth pangs and the things that are coming upon this earth, and the pestilence and the earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and all these things. And, you know, what's good is bad and what's bad is good. And, you know, these people that are committing heinous crimes are being let out of prison. These people that are committing nothing are being locked up because of their faith. And that's where we're at right now. We're in these last days. And we've been saying that for years and years and years, that we're in the last days, of course, but I think we're in the last hours. So that's really what this album speaks to. And to tell you the truth, the album is a hook for ministry. The music is always the hook to get me in the door to talk about Christ. That's it. I don't care about selling albums. I don't care about plugging records. I don't care about the band name. Nothing. I care about people coming to Christ. All this other stuff is extra. So, and that's the way all of us in the band feel. We're ministry minded, number one. So I could talk more about the album, but I'm going to always wind up going to Christ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You mentioned go ahead, Luke.
I'm see you talking about the series of the album. I remember, and I know someone's going to complain about this, but I love albums that actually broach on serious topics, because musicians aren't supposed to do that. They're supposed to make fun. No, screw that. I remember the first three Metallica albums, and the reason I got so hooked on them is they sung about things that nobody else did. Whether you like them or not, or you think they're good or not, they were broaching topics that on their albums, when you listen to them, you go, what is this? And you get sucked in. And Korn has done that, and some other Christian bands have done that. And I find myself liking music and albums that are based on real things with no filters, or it's a POV song where There's no filter on it. It's like, hey, this is what I see. What are we going to do about it? So you talking about this album is actually getting me more and more pumped, because this sounds like not just an album that people need to hear, but this sounds like something that's going to open a lot of doors for people, and it's going to cause them to come to a crossroads. And I like that. I think that is something we're needed, and I'm already sitting here kind of just like bouncing around on my porch, like I'm already listening to the album because of the idea of it getting real, just punching people in the face with truth. That's what's needed. Like you talk about your song "Flawed," about people like pointing out everyone else's mistakes. It just, literally, that sounds like a song for social media right now. Like all
Oh yeah.
social media is right now is cancel culture. Someone said something 6 years ago we don't like. Well, let's go cancel them, and it'll hide the stupid thing I said 2 minutes ago. And I'm like, so I'm
Yeah.
excited because you got to call out some things that I really believe need to be called out. So I'm
Well,
ready
I
for the
mean,
album.
yeah, I mean, I'll send it to you for free. Let me get you out of the sun real quick in case it's starting to come in. But yeah, cancel culture, dude. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I purposely say things to offend people because the cross is offensive. It is.
Mhm.
I personally do this. I don't care. Number one, my value is not found in what a person thinks at all. So I can care less. I love people, but my value of Dan Streety as a man, as a person, and as a child of God is not contingent on what the other person thinks of me. So
Yeah.
I purposely put stuff online that, yeah, 7 Day Slumber does it too, that it
Yeah.
provokes
Mhm.
thought. It provokes thought. I'm all about debate. I'm not about arguing, and I'm not about one-sided conversations. But debate is healthy
Yes.
because it opens the eyes of both sides, and you can have a conversation when one person speaks and then the next person speaks. Social media doesn't allow for that. Social media, I would not have it had I not had a band. Having social media is effective, obviously, but for promotion and stuff like that. But it's cancerous, man. It's
Yeah.
Mhm.
people live two different lives on social media. They live their social media life, which is completely fake, and then they live the real life. And it's really weird because people will talk trash to me online, and then they'll come to the show, and I'll look right at them, and I'll be like, "What's up? Let's talk." And they're like, they don't even know me. They're just, whoa, well, you didn't think I was real when you were
Yeah.
online bashing me and all this stuff? Here I am. Let's talk. So I mean, that's my issue with social media and cancel culture and things like that. But you mentioned Metallica. Um, Fade to Black talked about suicide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That when that album came out, man, I was a young kid, and that song nailed me, man. I mean, it really nailed me. And then um, Creeping Death is written out of Exodus, out of the book of Exodus. I never even knew that. So let it be written, so let it be done. To kill the firstborn Pharaoh's son. I had no idea that song was out of Exodus until I read Exodus. 31 years old, I come to Christ. I read Exodus. And I'm like, this sounds like a Metallica song. This
Yeah.
this Bible sounds like they stole this from Metallica's lyrics. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's things like that. So yeah, they
And
dealt with real
one
things.
was a serious
one,
thing
yeah.
too that most people wouldn't
Dude,
talk about.
probably one of the best songs ever written.
Yeah.
You know, and Korn, you brought up Korn. The first album was incredible, and you can't get through that album without listening to the very last song, Daddy, and the stuff that
Oh yeah.
he goes through. I can't listen to that song today without breaking down crying. So I choose not
I
to.
I've only listened to it maybe 3 times all the way through, because I have personal experience with abuse. So I'm
Hmm.
thankful that the song exists because it shines a light. But I'm like, I can barely get through it all the way. And Issues, their third album, Issues, the one that everyone said was crap. I thought it was right because they were talking about things that no one talked about back then, suicide and bully and like
Hmm.
all these bands. And I know you probably have a question, Cameron, but this is tying into something I wanted to ask Daniel because I think his insight on this. What is your opinion of people who, like me, I believe in God and I believe in Jesus. I do everything I can every day to repent and act like I am who I say I am. But I do still listen to certain secular bands because I find that even though they're secular, they have songs that, regardless of where their heart is when they write it, it rings true for me. What is your opinion? Because this has been an argument I've been online with some church people lately. Is the fact that because it's not written by a Christian, the song has no value and it doesn't matter. That is something I've literally been told about a song from a band called Halocene. The song's called Vita Nova. It's called New Life. Um, I don't agree with where their heart was when they wrote it, but some of the lyrics have a spiritual impact on me because I could see some spiritual combat in that. But I had a church leader tell me, well, they're not Christian, so screw that. It doesn't matter. What is your opinion on that? Is it bad to listen to secular music even if you find a connection that's relevant to you, or do you not?
Okay. A couple of questions in there. Number one, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. It matters what the Bible says. The Bible says trash in and trash out, right? Garbage in, garbage out. Music has a spirit behind it. And you just said something that there's a spiritual connection. Music, anything that art, those kind of things have a spirit behind it. And when a band puts that type of spirit out there, it's going into your ears and it's going into your head. And that's where Satan likes to live, right here. Now, if it's transferring to your heart, which is what causes you to praise God, it causes you to switch, it causes you to repent, that's different. So praise and worship music for me, Carrie Job, all these bands, Rhett Walker, I love these guys. They cause me to lift my hands in praise. There's a spirit behind that, and it's the Holy Spirit. These secular bands, when they record stuff, they're usually drunk or high or depressed or some kind of spirit behind that. They put it out on an album and then it goes out into the world and then it goes into your ears. Yes, there is a spirit behind it. What spirit is behind it though? And that's the question. Like, yeah, it can cause you to think there's Hatebreed's a band that I've loved since I was a kid. But when I listen to Hatebreed songs or I listen to Slipknot songs, I start to get angsty. I start to get mad. I start to find this thing inside of me that I don't like, that I've suppressed for so long. There's something inside me, and I'm feeding something inside me that is wicked and perverse and nasty with that kind of stuff. So I choose personally not to listen to it. My opinion, like I said, does not matter. That's something you need to soul search yourself. It's like horror films. Those ghost hunter movies or shows and stuff like that, I can't watch them. There's definitely a spirit behind it. And if you read the Bible, people don't die and get angel wings and go to heaven. People don't die and go and live in your house and roam around trying to say hi. That's not even biblical. It's nowhere in the Bible. And I've read the Bible several times. It's nowhere in there. But people have argued with me about this. And then I'm like, where does it say that? It does say that the demons do that. And they do mimic things. They do mimic your people who have passed on. They do that. So they'll torment you. So I choose personally not to watch those types of shows because of the spirit that's behind it. And you might call me crazy or anything like that, but I live in peace. I don't have nightmares. I go to bed every night with no problem. I wake up with no problem. When I used to listen to that type of music, it would make me want to drink. It would make me want to fight. It would make me want to do all these things that, question my God and stuff like that. So I avoid it. And that's me personally. Now, to answer your question, you're going to have to literally pray about that and pray hard, because someone like you, Luke, loves music and music moves you. But what spirit is moving you? Is it an evil spirit, or is it a positive, or is it the Holy Spirit? Because there's no in between. It's one or the other. So if the Holy Spirit's moving you and you feel, yeah, I am somebody, I am loved, I want to, have a holy mosh pit, I want to lay hands on somebody and watch them recover, I want them to move. Yeah, but that's what it's all about, is trying to trying to move somebody in a positive direction. If you start listening to that weird music that makes you feel depressed and stuff like that, I would question it. And then the churches judge. So arguing with
Yes.
church members is a waste of time, because church members argue with me. The first thing I do is I walk inside of a church building and they see a tattooed guy wearing a heavy metal shirt, and they're like, that guy needs saved. And then they come to find out I'm the guy that's going to be giving the sermon that morning. And then I wind up saving their kid, or leading their kid to the Lord, and stuff like that happens all the time. Churches love to judge. You sing heavy metal? What? Isn't that satanic? No, not if Satan's not in on it.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to that, man. So if you're arguing with church members, stop and start talking to him, and he'll definitely set you straight quick.
Oh yeah.
See, it's ironic that you answer that, because over the past couple months I've done that, and it's very ironic that you bring up how I feel when I listen to it, because I prayed about it and I've studied about it, and I ended up cutting out a lot of secular bands from my playlist. I barely listened to Korn. I got rid of Fear Factor. I got rid of a lot of bands because, like you said, the feeling I was getting was not what I was wanting to be. Mm-hmm. But some of these other bands, like Halocene, I don't know what goes in their music, but when I hear that Vita Nova song, it pumps, like, I'm positive. Like, literally, I listened to that right before, while I was running and coming home, because it made me in a positive mood, and it literally helped me focus. I'm like, okay, what am I going to ask Daniel? How are we going to do this? And they are a secular band, but when I hear them, I don't want to fight. I don't want to go watch movies. I don't want to go get on the internet and look up things I shouldn't be. I don't want to go smoke weed or drink alcohol. Literally, it puts me in a good mood, and it cleared my head, because I had a horrible day at work, and I did not want to come in a horrible mood with you. And I listened to the song and I felt 20 times better. But I have been praying about it, and I've cut out a ton of music from my playlist. And it's very ironic that you brought that up.
Well, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And I know that's really easy to say, but like for me, if I listen to Fear Factory, which I absolutely love that band.
Yeah.
If I listen to Fear Factory and I hear that album Obsolete, I'm just like, yeah. And then it's like this rage and all this negative feelings. But if I turn on For Today, which I was just listening to, just a little while ago, I feel righteous, not righteous anger, but I feel pumped up righteously. I just feel good, that there's a war out there. There's literally a war, and you're in the middle of a war. Everybody's got a war, and everybody's wars touching one another. So these little battles and stuff that you're having in your head with music and battling at work, and you have to go and listen to this band that makes you feel better and stuff like that. I mean, if it's not glorifying God, then it's glorifying self. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Satan has nothing to do with it. Sometimes it's just you. Sometimes it's the battle's just between here and here.
Yep. Yeah, I struggle with that. And it's funny you mentioned Fear Factory, because I hated having to cut that, because funny story is Fear Factory, their song Zero Signal from the first Mortal Kombat soundtrack, that was literally the first quote unquote metal song I ever heard. That is literally how I got into metal, was that band and that song. And it's so odd to me that the song that started me down this path, which eventually led to me booking shows, is a band I have to cut out of my life because it wasn't healthy for me. And it just, that just blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not healthy for you, why consume it?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I'm 41 years old. My life has flown by up until this point. And I've been a Christ follower for 9 years now. And for the last 9 years, I've learned to give it my all in every single aspect, in my marriage, as a father, in my downtime. When I'm driving my truck and I'm stopping at a stoplight and I see a homeless person, I'm pulling around, I'm buying them cheeseburgers, I'm leading them to the Lord. I'm not guaranteed. I'm not guaranteed 40 more years. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. What I am guaranteed is that if I finish this life righteously, following Christ, I'm going to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Enter my kingdom." That's what I'm seeking in this life. So I consume nothing but positive stuff. I consume nothing but Christ. I go to secular shows. I hear the satanic bands, the Chelsea's Grin we've played with, all these bands, man. We've played with so many secular bands, and they're saying F this, F that, forget Christ and da 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 da. And then I'm there to do one thing. That's to get on the stage, lift Christ up, get spit at, flipped off, cussed at, and booed, get off the stage, and call it a night. And sometimes I get to lead the little scene kid back behind the dumpster to the Lord. And sometimes I have somebody cussing me out. Sometimes it's both. But, one time in particular, we're in Pittsburgh. We're playing a show. We're playing with a secular band who's totally anti-God, us and another band. We play. I speak Christ from the stage. I get done. The satanic band gets up there. They play, and they're all over the place. And I notice the guitar is just, I don't know if he's drunk or what the deal is, but he's just not hitting the notes right. Well, after the show, whatever I said affected this kid. Well, come to find out, this kid grew up in church. So after the show, we're in the alleyway, in the bus, we're getting ready to leave, and it's tap, tap, tap on the door. In the rain, just like a movie, open the door, and there's that kid standing there going, "Hey, man," crying, I need Christ. Can I come in?" He comes into the bus. We lead him to the Lord. This is years ago. This is in Pittsburgh. Just recently on our last tour, we were down in Houston, Texas, and this is years later, and guess what? That kid
I lost you.
winds up.
There you are.
Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
That kid winds up walking into the club and giving me a hug, and he's still diligently following Christ. I'm like, that's what it's all about. I went all the way to Pittsburgh to play a show for this one person, and years later, he's in Houston, Texas. I mean, what are the odds of that? That's how God works, man. That's how he operates.
Oh, yeah.
He's a show off.
I got that experience. Nowhere near the level of you guys bands that play hundreds of shows a year, but booking shows, I saw that. I ran into it. There was kids that you guys impacted. There was a particular person that Silverside Lauren impact or Theody impacted, and she was a person that, and Cameron knows the story. She was a person that was completely anti everything God and religious. And she heard 10 minutes of Theody and then 10 minutes of Silverside. And she literally came up to me and goes, "Hey, can you come with me?" I'm like, "Well, what's the problem?" And she's like, "Well, I want to talk to these bands. I want to pray, but I'm nervous." And I about had a heart attack because I've known this girl for years and years. And I'm like, and the feeling I got from that when she left, and I was just talking to Cameron and Mikey. Mikey's like, "You're smiling and you can't stop." And I'm like, because I saw something I didn't think I'd ever see. And I want more of that. So I get it. Doing that, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
And that's your platform, for both of you guys. You don't have to be in a band to do this. Trust me. You could be just a normal life, man. Just walking around on the street, here with the camera, doing a YouTube. I've seen many people. I've listened to so many YouTube videos where I'm sitting there and I'm praising God and I'm hearing people come to the Lord and stuff like that. This is your guys' platform. This is what God has given you guys. And this is exactly what you guys need to use to glorify God. So it's not a band thing. It's nothing like that. It's a heart thing. And if you have a heart for Christ, it doesn't matter where he puts you. You're gonna shine. And you guys are both doing it, man. It's awesome. I mean, I'm super humbled to just be able to do this and talk to you guys. Super cool.
Well, yeah, the format of this show went through so many different ideas and all that, and I you can ask Cameron. I probably drove him absolutely bonkers because every week I like, I want to do this. Well, then the next week, no, I want to do this, and finally I just said, you know what? I need to know what I should be doing, and I sat down and I prayed for a couple hours, and I literally just walked around my neighborhood, and I'm like, no, we need to be talking to the bands that don't get to come here no more, that I know for a fact are legitimate. They have a real message that people need to hear. That's what we need to do. And I literally, I would have never came up with this format had I not done that. Because me and Cameron, for like, what, 6 months, we're talking about this, trying to figure out what to do.
Longer than that, but yeah. I think it's been about a year, I think, since we talked about doing this, but
Keep doing it.
oh yeah, it was gonna be like a music video reaction thing, and like where the tape deck is there was where the video was gonna play, and it's like no, none of that's. I mean, we may still down the road do something like that, but that's what we want to do. Give people a platform, and I don't care about fame. I mean, it's you know
it's a hassle, dude. Trust me.
Yeah.
And I'm not even famous.
Right. Well,
it's a pain in the butt. I just want to hang out here with my chicken. I got chickens out here. I got my bees. I got a couple beehives over here that you guys can't see. My garden. That's about as metal as I get.
Right.
That's what I do, dude.
Is that what all Christian rock bands do? Like Zach from Silverside's doing that now. He lives with his wife in Kentucky, and they got chickens and dogs and plants, and it's crazy. I go and visit them once or twice a year, and you see them on stage, and then I go and see them when they're at home, and I'm like, this is a metal dude? It's like, what?
Well, I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in the concrete jungle of East LA, and now I live on 5 acres of wooded acres in the middle of Missouri. And I've got chickens, and I'm getting sheep, and I've got bees and make honey, and yeah, dude, it's good. Life's great. I killed that snake earlier because it was in my chicken coop. I went to get the eggs out, and there's a snake inside there eating the eggs. So I beat it in the head, took it over to the fire pile, and made a fire and threw him in it. He wasn't real happy about it, but he's dead now.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that's metal.
I have a feeling there's a song coming out of that somehow. But
yes.
Yeah. Don't tread on me.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh boy.
Snakes. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you're gonna be at Chains Unchained the whole weekend.
I have
running
to
around. I figure. I want to go for the whole weekend, but with work, it looks like I had a choice between Saturday and Friday, and I believe you guys are playing Saturday, correct?
We're Saturday night.
Because I remember I looked and I'm like, man, they play Saturday, but Zana plays Friday, and your guys' music at Duty and Zana's that's like all that's really on my playlist, but her music lately, I've been dealing with a personal battle, which on one of these shows coming up, I plan on letting out, but her music has been helping. So I'm like, I want to see you guys on Saturday, but unfortunately, it looks like I'm only going to be there Friday.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to complain because everybody on the bill is my friends. So
yeah, they're all amazing.
And honestly, Chains Unchained is for one reason. It's to take all that money that we make and bless a ministry. So whether you're there on Friday, Saturday, both, whether or not you buy a ticket and show up or don't show up, that you're still supporting the ministry. So yeah, I can't hate on that. That's awesome. I wish you were there the whole time, but hey man, Friday's lineup is stacked. So it's still really good.
Yeah, that was the other thing is the Saturday lineup is a stacked lineup and I love them, but I've seen almost all of them multiple times. But the ones on Friday, I think Zana, I believe that the band after, I can never remember the name, but I've seen them but I haven't seen the rest of anybody that's played on Friday before that I can think of. So that was the other. I haven't seen
Yeah.
them, so I want to come watch.
Friday's stacked. Yeah, Friday's stacked too. And Chaotic Resemblance is headlining that night. So
Oh
that'll be
yeah,
fun.
I always forget the name, but I remember because I went to me and Cameron actually went to a church that they played with Studio. We ate food with them after. And just watching people react to these guys that are dressed as like a hair metal band in the middle of a restaurant was the greatest thing I'd ever witnessed.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now that those four men right there are some of the most genuine guys in all of Christian metal by far. And out of all the bands, I mean, we've played with so many bands that are huge now, bands that are not so huge. They're some of the most genuine men that I've ever met by far. And they're just huge teddy bears. They give the greatest hugs, and they're just good dudes. And they're ministry minded. Number one, they love Jesus more than anything. And I think that's incredible. And that's why I love Chaotic Resemblance so much. Protest the same way.
Yeah, Protest is one of my favorites.
Yeah, those guys. One of the first Bred for War show that it was one of the first Bred for War shows. It might have been our second or third show. We played with the Protest, and they left such an impression on us that we have ever since then done what they did. And what they did was they ran in, said, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm so and so. Is there any way that I can help you out? Maybe move your gear around, do this and that." All they wanted to do was help. They were servant minded, number one, very first thing. And I was like, you know what? That's a band that understands that they're not a band. That's a band that understands that they're on a mission. You know, that's a ministry.
Yeah.
And ever since then, Bred for War's like, that's it. Run around and pick gear up, help other people. And that was because of the Protest. That's why we do it. We were so I've never seen a band do that before. Usually it's like, don't touch my staff. You know, that sort of thing.
I'd never seen it in my years of going to shows and all that until I started booking it Yahweh. I saw you guys and the Protest when they played, like, and Silverside, all them, they'd come in and they'd come down. And again, all these questions I was expecting, I didn't hear a single one other than, "Hey, do you need any help? Hey, we're here. We got time." And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah. Sure.
And you know what? All these people that don't know Christ, their souls are screaming that same thing. Their souls are screaming, "I need help," but they're afraid to ask, or they're afraid, to say anything. And that's their spirit, their person, their being, everything inside of them is going, "Help! Would somebody please help?" And and people won't do it. They won't help. But these ministry-minded bands, these ministry-minded people like you are like, "Yeah, we'll help no matter what." Not to mention, if you get close to somebody, you have to talk about Christ. The next thing you know, person's being changed, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. There's an ice cream truck in my neighborhood.
Well, that'd be awesome. I've got just flies and mosquitoes landing on me right now. My fire went out.
Oh no. You mentioned a couple things that that you are ministry minded. What are some different ways people can get a hold of you? Do you have a website? Do you have? Now I'm seeing myself on the.
No, I'm back.
Yeah.
My son's in the Navy and he's trying to call me right now.
Gotcha.
I keep going, go away. He knows.
Right.
Oh yeah. By the way, how is he? I remember letting that last show last year. Didn't he leave after that, or shortly after that?
That was he split the boot camp right after that. So he's holding it down in the United States Navy.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Awesome.
But your question, Cameron, I'm sorry.
Oh, just the different ways to get a hold of you. Website. Is there, if somebody feels inclined to give, is there an outlet for that, like a Venmo or something like that, or?
Yeah, everything goes through our Bred for War, bredforwar.com. And there's donate button on there. Like I said, we don't charge for our CDs either. We give those away. Those are donation only. The only thing we have to charge for are the shirts because they cost money to print them.
Right.
But the CDs are, it's whatever you feel like it's worth. If it's a nickel. If it's $100, whatever you feel like. And then, so there's a donate button. You can go through www.bredforwar.com. Of course, we have the Facebook page, and then we have a YouTube page that I personally haven't been uploading anything to. Jay has, and it's literally it's Jay. Let me just say that. So it's nothing but just funny videos. It has nothing to do with Bred for War. So it's just Jay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bred for War on YouTube if you have nothing else to do with your life.
Yes. After you've watched this video on YouTube, you can go there. But
Yeah,
I'm being
exactly.
silly.
Will we see you one way or another at Nehemiah Fest this year?
I knew you were going to ask that, and you know that I can't say anything.
No. I asked it because I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that either. I'm just asking
No.
if you're going to be there, one way or another. Just say hi or another. There's nothing wrong with answering that.
I will be there.
Play.
I will be there. Jay will be there. Justin will be there, and Phil will be there.
All of
But
their
I
own
can't.
accord. Got it.
But I can't tell you whether or not we're playing or not.
That's fine. I'll find out here shortly anyway in the next week.
Yeah, as soon as they announce it all, you know.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah,
Like
we'll
I
be there.
said,
We'll be there the whole weekend.
Good. You guys are always a blast to be harassed by when I'm there. When I've been there
Bring it.
12 hours and they decide it's time to harass Luke, and I'm so tired I can't even think straight.
Oh yeah, I'm looking down and I see you, and I'm like, well, I guess it's me with the microphone, and there's Luke. Here we go.
I put myself in that position, so it all works.
Yes. I remember there was
Blend in with the
yeah.
crowd.
I remember a show at the basement where I think I was back by the board, and you were on stage. You walked all the way back to the soundboard and held the mic up to my thing and asked me to sing. That's something I always remember. But
you just gave me a crazy look, like, "What are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Go away."
Right.
I was like, "I got 300 feet from the receiver on this,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll follow you to the
Yeah.
bathroom."
Yeah. No, it wasn't my intent to be like, "What the heck are you doing?" It was it was a very stressful evening, so it had nothing to do with you or that. So I didn't want to
Hey,
come
man,
across as like, "What are you doing?" or whatever. But
No.
Yeah.
It's what am I doing? I shouldn't have been over there.
yeah,
It's just Daniel being Daniel.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
there to have fun, man. I'm there to
yeah.
have fun. Because I tell you what, man, for 17 years of my life, nothing was fun. I was mean, dangerous, just all the time. I was hurting people and involved in the hate groups and locked up and, all these things, and people threatening me and getting beat up and bullied and me hurting all that stuff. So now it's like, whoop, now I'm going to have nothing but fun. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm putting the mic in your face, Cameron.
Yes. The funny thing is, I didn't know the words, so I was like, I don't know what to say.
Well, no, that's when I'm like this. I'm like, I'm forgetting the words, so I'm putting it in your face. You got to remember, because I don't.
yeah.
I don't remember a lot of the times what I wrote.
Right.
So that's the beautiful part about screaming and yelling, is you can just go rah rah rah. Nobody ever knows.
Bacon and eggs. Yeah.
Bacon and eggs and watermelon.
Yeah.
Where can people, if they're so inclined, get tickets to Chains Unchained?
Chainsunchained.com.
Yeah.
Chainsunchained.com. If you go to the actual web page, you could buy the regular tickets, you could buy the VIP, you could buy the shirts, you could buy all that stuff. You could buy tickets and pay it forward to somebody else if you're unable to make it, but you want to bless somebody else. We've had a couple people do that and remain anonymous and do that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool when somebody buys $100 in tickets and they're unable to make it. But then I wind up finding 4 kids who want to go, and they're able to go. And next thing you know, those 4 kids, 2 of them give their heart to the Lord. So chainsunchained.com. And then of course, all the links are on the Facebook page as well. But yeah, you can go and get your tickets. And
I got to
like
do that tonight. I got paid today, so I have to do that as soon as we're done here.
Well, the ticket is good for both days. 1 ticket both days. The VIP is $50, but that includes meet and greets downstairs in the green room with all the bands, and also dinner on Friday, lunch and dinner on Saturday, and you're not getting hot dogs and nachos. You're getting some killer food.
I remember last year, believe me, I remember the food last year.
Yeah, this dude, we don't play with food, man. That's the best part about Chains and Chain.
I like how you're adding meet and greet. Like officially, like that's pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, you don't really meet and greet. You just go downstairs and hang with everybody. You know, all the bands are downstairs in the kitchen and in the green room and stuff. You just mosey down there with VIP. But we just try to keep, 500 people from going down there. But honestly, that's just the perk of the VIP. What really is important is the food. So you get for an extra $25, you get 3 meals, and I mean, it's going to cost you that at McDonald's anyway. So you might as well eat good and not have to leave.
Yeah, the meet and greets I'm not worried about because I can literally just walk up to a table and everyone will know me and hug me. So
yeah, and all these bands are all knuckleheads anyway. You don't want to hang out with them.
What if I like hanging out with knuckleheads? That's why I like you.
I go to Chains Unchained for the grilled corn because it's the best. It's not jalapeno corn.
They had brisket last year. Man.
Yeah. Those dudes at His Table Ministries, they kill it on that grill.
Yeah, they do. Okay, this is turning into a food session. Yes. Anyway, Cameron, you got questions?
Not really. I'm sure I'll think of like 1,000 questions 20. Later. Yeah.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
When are you going to put another show together?
Cameron hasn't known this because I just started working on the details last week. I might have a building in January that will do it. I am working out details and kinks with that because I'm going to, because of past experiences, I'm not going to count on anyone else. I'm just going to count on God and what I can do. And I'm going to fund the building. And if that goes the way I want it to, then I will start messaging some bands here, hopefully in a few days. And I'm aiming for January.
You're aiming for freezing cold months. That'll work.
Yes.
Well, the building is about 60% cheaper to use in the freezing cold months.
Yeah.
And there's less shows in the freezing cold months. And it may not be January. Right now, January is looking the best. Like, let's just put this way. I'm putting actual work and I'm taking all the lessons I learned, and I'm trying to do this in a way where I can fund it, but it won't wreck me. It won't wreck my health. And I'm trying to actually plan, unlike all of my other shows that were just, let's do this.
Well, if the weather works out, that'll be great. Yeah. Second question, is Bred for War going to be asked? And thirdly, let me go ahead and answer. The answer is no. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank God you weren't on my list.
Right?
Actually, I have a list of 6 bands, and you were on it only because it's the only show in the foreseeable future that I can see do.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it. I don't know how any of it's going to go. I'm still talking to the building, and I will message you as I know more. Would Bred for War consider being there?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to their booking agent.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that guy. That guy scares me.
Well, that's news to me. The last one we taped, I found out Luke had a girlfriend, and then this one I found out it apparently has a building lined up. So.
Yeah.
He's got it all.
Something I've learned the hard way, just watching bands, and I don't deal with the public on a level that bands do. But even when I was booking, I just realized how easy it was for my personal life to go everywhere. So I've learned to I try my butt off to not let it go everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I let people know when they need to know.
Yes.
That's how I am. I'm a very secretive guy. Very secretive. You'll never catch me plug in where I work, where I live, any of that stuff. You'll get a roundabout answer, but you're not getting any specifics, dude.
Right.
I'm a secretive guy.
Right.
You get what you get online, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure we could talk for hours. I have somewhere I need to be here shortly. I didn't know.
Looks like a Royals game with all that gear on.
No, well, they played earlier today, but yeah. No, I actually haven't made it to a game yet this year, but I hopefully will soon. But
Yeah.
they charge so much for parking anymore. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
I remember when parking was like $5, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like 25 years ago.
No, that's the Royals were terrible then, and
Yes.
now they won a
Yes.
World Series, and
Yes.
now it's $60 apart.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty close. 20, but but yeah, no, I actually do need to get going. And I know you have work at like 1:30 in the morning or something crazy like that.
Early, yeah.
Yeah.
I work early.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, Luke. You have any parting words,
No,
wisdom
No,
as
I feel
I
like
look at myself? There we go.
no, I feel like everything that needed to be said was said.
Good deal. Do you have any last parting thoughts, Daniel, on anything?
Jesus is King. Thank you guys for everything. Love you guys very, very much. Thank you guys for allowing me to spend some time with you guys. I miss you guys. It's been a while, but yeah, Jesus is number one. And check out Bred for if you can. If not, whatever. Read your Bible.
Yes.